having that person that you can trust, you can vent to, you can just freely spew whatever feelings you need to spew, knowing no one else is going to hear it, knowing you're not going to be judged. I think that's really the key to therapy with kids in general.
Welcome back to You Need a Counselor. My name is Julie Johnson. I am the president and founder of Hardin Solutions. We are a strength-based counseling agency here in Iowa. If you live near one of our 7 office locations, give us a call. We are offering in-office mental health counseling right now. We're also offering counseling over the phone and over the computer. So if you prefer to stay in your house, if you're like me and you prefer to stay in your pajamas while you do your counseling session, go for it. So we are offering those telehealth and in person right now.
And I'm Chrissa Brown. I'm the vice president at Hardin Solutions in charge of the behavioral health department, where we work with kids ages 4 to 18 in home, in office, in the school, or right now telehealth as well on different behavioral skills. And this is our podcast, You Need a Counselor. So the mission is that we are designed for people curious about counseling but have barriers keeping them from experiencing the benefits of counseling. Our mission is to share stories about counseling, good, bad, and indifferent, and spread the message that everyone can benefit from mental health and behavioral health counseling services.
Yeah, so we post on Sunday nights at 5:00 p.m. These videos go live on YouTube. They go live on anywhere that you would listen to podcasts. And we also post it on our Facebook and Instagram pages Sunday nights at 5 p.m. So batch up your laundry, because that's what we'll be doing at 5:00 on Sunday nights, is putting away clean laundry. I gotta say, like on a Monday morning, there's nothing worse than being like, I don't have any clothes to wear. Like, what am I going to wear? Like, can I turn this underwear inside out? Like, what am I supposed to do right now? You know? And so do that laundry throughout the week, but like save Sunday night, just set yourself up for the week with those clean clothes to wear throughout the week. You'll feel so much better. Plus putting away laundry is a really, really boring task. So go ahead and put on the podcast, listen to us. We'll be doing the same exact thing, so nobody has to suffer alone with their laundry. So Sunday nights at 5 p.m. We also post a little teaser trailer on our social media on Fridays. So check that out too, so you know what's coming up next week. Okay, so we have a very special guest today. We've got one of just my favorite people. I have to say this. So we've got Felicia Ledbetter here. Welcome, Felicia. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Oh, we are so excited to interview you. So Felicia is a therapist here at Hardin Solutions. She's a therapist in our Iowa City schools. And so I'll let you tell her about that, because that is really, really cool that there's so much access to mental health happening in our school districts. And it's just wonderful, just takes down so many barriers to that process for kids. So outside of her role as a therapist here at Hardin Solutions, Felicia is also the active secretary for the Hardin County Child Abuse Prevention Board. And we've done, Hardin County Child Abuse Prevention Board, I have to say, I think within the counties in this area just really, really does the most outreach. They're the most visible. They do the most events. We've been to several events, like they'll have them at the zoo in Wellsburg. They'll have them just like in the library parking lots with like bouncy houses, just cool stuff to get kids and families involved in a preventative way, in a way that's fun and family focused, and not in as much of like a correctional way, if that makes sense, but more in a community engagement, prevention, educational way. So Chrissa and I are huge fans of the Hardin County Child Abuse Prevention Board. We've done a lot of their events, and we just think it's so amazing. So we're excited to hear about that on here. Felicia is also going to tell us about the Hardin County Kids Closet, which is a brand new initiative. And we are just so excited to hear about that as well. So Felicia, tell us about the Hardin County Child Abuse Prevention Board and what it's like to be the secretary there, and kind of what you guys do.
Well, it is quite a mouthful to get the whole Hardin County Child Abuse Prevention Coalition out. And then our letters also don't make a word or anything easy to say. HCCAPC, and that also gets confusing. So we are based out of Hardin County. We started about 4 years ago. Basically, we used to be with Marshalltown. It was a Marshalltown or a Marshall County, Hardin County joint coalition. And we just kind of broke free, started a nonprofit here that was strictly Hardin County, just to have more hands in the game and be able to do more directly for our county without having to always balance that with Marshalltown and share the funding and separating and meeting with them. And it was a lot of work trying to make all that work. So about 4 years ago, we started our own nonprofit. We're just a small group of board members. We represent a lot of different service areas, which is nice. We have people from DHS and childhood specialists and mental health specialists. We have law enforcement on our board. So we have a nice variety of people that work in different fields in our county helping kids already. So basically what we do as such a small organization, we do get funding from Prevent Child Abuse Iowa. We are the recognized coalition for Hardin County. So we use that funding for sexual abuse prevention education, mostly in schools for kids. Also, we have some parent and teacher adult trainings that can kind of help teach people the signs to look for and ways to help prevent sexual abuse in the children around them. So that's where most of our funding goes. Aside from that, we do a lot of community outreach. That is basically the rest of what we do. So in the past, before COVID, talking about some of the activities, and those were so fun. We did do a lot of like movies in the park on big screens and family fun activities where we had bouncy houses and lots of different community resources set up with tables to give information and helpful resources and stuff like that. All that stuff was always great. And it gave families a free place to go have fun, a safe environment. COVID happened. And so we were very limited in anything we could do after that. So we still do things like April is Child Abuse Awareness Month. So for April, we always try to do as many things as we can. We still get to do things like our Blue Kids contest. So if you live in Hardin County, I think this year we have 5 different towns in Hardin County where we're doing this: Hubbard, Ackley, Iowa Falls, Eldora, and Alden. So our Blue Kids are like these 3-foot tall plywood cutouts, a boy and a girl, and they're painted blue. And we put them at a different resource location every week. This week is food pantries. So if you're out and about, food pantry in one of those towns, and you spot our Blue Kids, we ask you to just go take a picture with them and post it on our social media. And then we run a contest. So we have a lot of prizes that people will win at the end of the month. But the main point of it is to kind of share this awareness and let people know that we're here. Child abuse prevention is a thing. Get them asking more questions, get them to our Facebook page so they can see the resources we have to offer. And then we are working with a lot of community partners at this point. This year, we've really tried to step that up with COVID and everything changing and not having a lot of opportunity to get families together or connected. So that Hardin County Kids Closet is something that I'm really excited to talk about today too.
Yeah, it's been a challenging year for those organizations that do a lot of community outreach, that do a lot of community events. And so I love that you guys are adapting to this though, and saying, okay, how else can we be helpful to the families in our community? How else can we share these prevention resources during this month without encouraging people to gather in large groups? So I love that photo contest idea, because that is so engaging. That's an experience now that you're creating for the child. And it's also community building as well at the same time that you're showcasing these resources of the community. So awesome. So yeah, please tell us about the Hardin County Kids Closet. So this is very exciting information.
Honestly, I think where this is coming from most, it has a lot to do with my job in the schools. Working as a therapist in the schools in Iowa Falls gives me the opportunity daily to recognize this need that I've seen it with my kids being in school. I've always been that mom that spends a lot of time in the schools and eats lunch with the kids and all that stuff. Not anymore, obviously. But this job has given me an even bigger picture of what that looks like. Just seeing that we have so many kids within our schools in Iowa Falls that need clothes that fit better, need clothes that are more weather appropriate. Sometimes they just don't have things that are nice anymore, like they're stretched out or there's holes in them and stuff like that. And just looking for a way to try to fill that need. And with Hardin County Child Abuse Prevention being in this weird place of what can we do to help when we can't bring anyone together for anything, I thought this would be a great opportunity to also grow our community partnerships, which is a big part of what we try to do, but also make a difference in some kind of way. So I'm really excited about the project. Basically, what it is we will be printing vouchers for certain amounts. They're like a gift certificate, but they will be specifically from us so that they know where it's coming from, what it's for. These will be handled by identified staff within the school, like one person that works closely with the families is the best able to identify those needs and supply these certificates. And then we will be partnered with different consignment stores and thrift stores throughout Hardin County in the different towns so that eventually the hope is that every school district in Hardin County has access to vouchers for a place that is near them where they can go and access clothing. Starting off small this year, we have partnered with Find Your Fabulous in Iowa Falls just as a starting place. I already, working in the schools, I had a select person that I could identify that I knew would be the right person to handle these vouchers. So starting off small, just with our schools in Iowa Falls and Find Your Fabulous, we have started taking donations. Another great program in Iowa Falls is the Watchdogs program. And they made our first donation a few days ago to kind of get this started. So there's another community partnership for us and also another group that had really fallen off because of COVID. So really happy to bring them back. Posted yesterday, and I know my lovely boss and business here decided to make a donation to our project as well. So we appreciate that. And also the project is based on masks too. So not just clothes, we're wearing masks all the time. These kids are wearing them all day at school, every day. It becomes expensive for any family, and even more so for some to keep up with that new mask every day, washing it every day. And the school does help a lot here in Iowa Falls. I mean, they do have other masks for kids if they need them when they come to school. They're washing them for them sometimes. But this is another way that kids can get a voucher and go up to this place uptown here and go buy a few new masks if they need something.
Wow.
Just trying to encompass that as much as we can, and whatever we can do, the biggest we can do with this small scale that we have as an option. Very excited. So plan on watching us grow that over the next year. And hopefully by the end of next year or April at this time next year, we will be talking about a lot more places as a part of this program.
What a great idea, because you're utilizing the resources that are already available. So the different stores, these are locally owned businesses that you are promoting, right? By giving these vouchers for clothes, and you're not having to like store a bunch of donations and put them out and try to match people with them. You're going, okay, these are already established things. We've got this community grant funding that we haven't been able to use for our events. Let's make this available for kids. And I love that, because there is it's an experience, and it's so just normalizing and inclusive to be able to like go into the store and you're still paying for these clothes. You're picking out what clothes. It's not like, oh, here's the 3 shirts that are in my size. It's, hey, these are the clothes that like any of my classmates would buy from this same local store. And so I love that idea. I also love just the ability to go in with that voucher, because it is like a gift certificate that anybody would use in a store. And involving the schools is so genius, because I think that the schools, especially during COVID, but I think what was happening was not that the schools were having to pick up more of those kind of social services, but just that it was more like highlighted that the schools were, because the schools were also dealing with all of these other things during COVID. This idea that, yeah, there are food resources in a lot of our counties, right? There's rental assistance types of resources in a lot of our counties. But when it comes to clothes for kids, sometimes it just feels like, well, they've got something to wear, right? And what you're doing here is helping those kiddos to have that normalizing experience of saying like, no, you can go to the store, pick out what you want, try stuff on, all of that. So I think that is beautiful. And tell us a little bit about your first sponsor. So Watchdogs in Iowa Falls, such a cool program. So can you tell us a little bit about that too?
I can't say enough about the Watchdogs program. The way I try to describe it is, how with most all elementary schools, you have like the PTO or the PTA, and it's usually moms. For the most part, what I've seen here, it's all moms and it's all females, and it's great. And they do so much for the school, but there is such a lack of father involvement. And watching the Watchdogs program start here, and how many dads would show up, they would do like a pizza launch night just to kind of teach everybody about it. They invite all dads, grandfathers, father figures. So, like big brothers or the neighbor who you look at like your grandpa, just a male figure in your life. And you come with your male figure in your life to pizza night. They tell you all about the program. The program basically involves signing up as a dad or grandpa or uncle or whatever. You sign up, they ask you for one day for the school year. So they're not asking a whole lot. They make it like an easy transition in, make it seem like a fun idea. But it really is. Once you go in as a dad, say, you get like a little schedule for the day. You get to spend specific time with your own student in the classroom during certain times, have lunch with them, go to recess with them. But then there's other teachers that really could use assistance from a male figure throughout the day, like the drop-offs in the morning or taking kids to the bus after school, helping with that walker line of little kids, helping at lunch, recess. And then there's a lot of times where like, oh, there's a dad in the school and we have an issue over here. The dad could really help with this in a special kind of way. So it's been really nice to see how quickly it took off, how many dads were interested, and to watch our schools go from like, you always see moms around. And I know COVID is very different now, but when we were still doing this, you always see moms in the school, but all of a sudden seeing dads every day. Every day you walk in the school and like, oh, there's a dad or there's one. They announce it over the intercom in the morning so the kids feel special. But then they do other stuff throughout the year too. Like they will have a cookies and milk night after school one day where you come with your father figure and just have cookies and milk and color pages and stuff. Hot dogs with the watchdogs at the end of the school year they would do. So it's just been really nice to see that there is a way that dads can be looked at as more important in the school environment and connect with their kids in that way. I feel like there wasn't a lot of that around here before, and it's especially fun to see like the recess time and you see the watchdog go out and there's just a swarm of children around the watchdog like, will you put me on the monkey bars and will you come play with me? And so it's been a lot of fun to watch. They're in 2 schools here now in Iowa Falls, and there was plans to expand that, and then COVID happened. So they're just kind of sitting back, waiting, hoping that eventually they'll get back into school. But they thought this was a really good idea. Ryan Wood is my significant other and better half, and was part of the launch of the Watchdogs initially, and then at the second school. So when I was talking about this Hardin County Kids Closet, we need to get funding. And he's like, oh my gosh, this is a way that we can let people know the watchdogs are still here. We can do a little something to give back to the kids who we haven't seen in the last year. So his being the first donation, like felt really special to me that's where it came from. So it's nice to kind of tie those two, the Hardin County Child Abuse and the Watchdogs together.
You're so right. Sometimes you walk through a school and there, or you see the volunteer list and it's all moms. And I think that it's not that dads and father figures don't want to do it. It's just that sometimes there isn't that opportunity that, is going to utilize the strengths of those dads or those father figures.
Right.
And so I love that idea to be able to, create this like gang of protective males in the community, protecting all the little bear cubs. I think that's so cute.
Another really beautiful thing about it is a lot of kids don't have a male role model or father figure in their life, and you can see when those connections happen at school and you're witness to that, and you see like the certain children really just clinging to the watchdog who's there and just wanting that attention so much. I think it's so beneficial for those kids as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it takes a village, and this is a way to
Absolutely.
connect those people who do want to make a difference and who do want to protect and care for those kids, to give them the opportunity to do that. So that's wonderful. Awesome. And so, if people want to donate to the Hardin County Kids Closet, so I love this idea because I know that, as so Hardin Solutions, we want to be your second
Yes,
sponsor, donator. Uh,
love that.
so, when I love the idea that when I send this money to the organization, that money is then converted into these vouchers and then handed directly to the families.
Yeah.
And then the families get the options, like they get all of the control over what they buy, what clothes they pick out with those vouchers. I love that. I think sometimes, with clothes closets, they're wonderful, right? But like even ours in Grundy Center, we've got a sharing closet in Grundy Center. And people can come donate things and drop off and all of that. But there's still kind of a limitation, right? On like what you can, if you need something in the moment, it's not a fully stocked situation. It's kind of like, hey, this is neat. I can use this. But when you need something, it's great. The idea that you could go to a store that's going to
Mhm.
have those things because it's a store. So yeah, we love that. We're excited to be a part of that and kind of, partner to support you guys in getting this program started. That's
We
fantastic.
appreciate that. I'm very excited to see it start up and really like the kids start using it and get those vouchers in the schools. I'm super excited to see how it goes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, wonderful. And it's something that is so scalable, right? I mean, this could happen in Grundy as well. We've got trinkets and togs here in Grundy. This is something that could totally be uh, carried from community to community. So
Absolutely. And I think it is so great to make use of the resources in the community. There's money here, there's clothes here. The stores aren't selling out of the clothes they have. So it's
right.
it's mutually beneficial in so many ways.
Yeah.
Very cool. So tell us a little bit more about being a therapist in the school setting. So we've had some therapists on the podcast, but we've never had an in-school therapist before. So if somebody knows that there's a counselor in their child's school and they're thinking about maybe getting their child signed up for that, tell us what that person can kind of expect going into that.
Well, what I really like about the in-school therapy is I feel like taking the kids away from the home situation, or like mom's not bringing me to the appointment or dad's not bringing me and sitting in the waiting room. I feel like it makes kids a lot less inhibited being in the
Mm,
school environment, knowing their parents aren't there to just ask what we were talking about or interject with anything. I think there's a freedom that comes with seeing kids in the school environment.
mhm.
Um, Honestly, my favorite thing about my job is just the connection. I feel like that's the most important thing with what I do in therapy with children, most especially. But just having that connection, making sure that a child feels supportive and safe and validated. Those are like the keys. And those are things that anybody can do also. And that's why I feel like it's such a great thing to be able to work with a child and make them feel validated and supportive so that they can take that to other areas in life too. And whether they build that within themselves, like, oh, I know I'm valid and my feelings are okay and this is fine. Or if
Mhm.
they start to exhibit those behaviors and other adults in their family or in their life start to treat them kind of in the same way, I think can be super helpful. But it's that connection. I feel like the connection is everything, and then everything else grows from there. So whether it's I'm a teenager and I'm struggling with anxiety or depression, or I'm an elementary school kid who has behavioral issues at school, I feel like no matter what the situation is, having that person that you can trust, you can vent to, you can just freely spew whatever feelings you need to spew, knowing no one else is going to hear it, knowing you're not going to be judged. I think that's really the key to therapy with kids in general.
Mm. Yeah, and I so agree with you that being in the school setting really does give a little bit more freedom to a child, especially like a middle school child who is like looking for that autonomy, right? And you can have the most supportive parents in the world, but they're still your parents. And so it
I
is
love
nice.
that you said that because I feel like that's a super important thing for people to understand too. And it's helped me as a mom in my own life, being a therapist to kids and realizing that no matter how great of a parent you are, no matter how close you are with your kids and how connected you are, there are always things that kids don't want to share with their parents or talk about for whatever reason. And I've even seen situations where it's like, I don't want to worry my parents, or I don't want to disappoint them or make them concerned. And so I don't share these feelings with them. And it's not that the parent wouldn't be supportive or the parent isn't always there for them. It's like, I don't want to be a burden to mom or dad or grandma or whoever. So it is nice just to let them know, like, this is your place right here. Anything you need to say, talk about, whether it's bad about your teacher or your mom, or you had a fight with grandma yesterday, it's the perfect place to just share all that and know that no one's going to hear it. You're not going to get in trouble or make anybody feel bad. And I think that's a nice part about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, gosh, so I have a 4-year-old, and I mean, she and I would say we have a good relationship. We're kind of attached at the hip, right? She's kind of my mini. But when I do worksheets with her, for example, right? She is totally different doing that than like when she does stuff at school. When she does stuff at school, she's like, oh, look at this extra thing I put on here, right? I did this extra sheet for you. Do you like it? And right when it's me trying to get her to do homework or, worksheets at home, she's like, why do I have to do this? Right? And so, and like, for me, it's like, that's not a reflection of my relationship with her versus like her teacher's relationship with her, right? Of course, she loves me, hopefully more than her teacher,
Hopefully.
but yeah, hopefully, I mean, who knows, but her teacher's pretty great, right? So, but at the same time, it's like, that it's because I'm her mom, like I'm her mom. And so, and I'm always going to kind of be her mom, and it's just a different relationship. So, signing your child up for therapy in school, it's not because like you're doing a bad job as a parent. It's because you're adding an extra service, because we're recognizing we can't be all things to our kids all the time. They need other supports outside of ourselves. And I love that, because they need those connections, and they need those connections everywhere. And if they're doing counseling in school, they're learning how to be validated, share their experiences, share their emotions with somebody that they're not related to, and being able to do that in a way that they'll be, accepted for whatever it is that they express. So.
Well, and like everything you just said is a big part of why I feel like counseling is great for everybody. Because no matter, even if you aren't depressed or struggling with behavioral issues or have something major going on, everyone can still benefit from having an extra supportive person in their life that validates them and gives them this extra space to talk about all those things that they maybe don't talk about at home. And then especially with kids, you're hitting them at a place where you're growing healthy adults. So kind of working through these things and learning coping skills and building resilience as a kid really helps who you become as an adult. And I think a lot of times when these things aren't addressed or helped when you're a child, you grow into an adult who maybe has never felt supported, or maybe you've never really been validated and you are an adult who questions yourself. I feel like, for me, I feel lucky to be someone who works with kids in the hopes that I am in some way like helping to prevent that when they're an adult. Maybe they will be a happier adult because of the relationship that we have now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's right. I love that. So, in keeping with Child Abuse Prevention and Education and Awareness Month, can you give us a couple tips for parents that might want to, do some prevention or education with their kids, so that they can, make sure that their children know what to do if something happens? What tips might you give there?
Absolutely. I think the easiest thing that I always think that anyone can do, whether you're a parent or a neighbor or someone in the community, is kind of helping to build resilience in the kids in your life. And the easiest way to do that for anybody is just being a supportive person who has a good, trusting relationship with these kids. Resilience is basically being able to overcome the adversity you might experience, or something traumatic happens. Resilience helps you come through that still okay on the other side.
Yeah.
And a big part of building resilience in kids is having that supportive relationship, knowing there are people you can trust, having more of a positive outlook. And I think just by being there, just by letting your kids know, or the neighbor kids know, or your nieces and nephews and grandchildren, showing them that I'm a supportive person for you, I love you, telling them great things about themselves and helping them believe those things so that they get that positive self-image, can be so helpful in the case of preventing things from going too bad if something does happen. Because there are a lot of things we can't prevent, right? Like we have tragedies happen every day. We lose family members, we lose pets. COVID happens and affects all of us in very different ways. And child abuse is real. And sometimes we don't know who's being abused. Sometimes it's not obvious at all. And I think that for child abuse specifically, for those kids, just building that resilience in them and having them know that there are people that support them and that they can trust. Either it gives them an outlet to share with somebody that something's happened to them, or at the very least, it's giving them the tools to come out of it better in the end than they would have without having a supportive person in their life or a relationship that was really valuable to them.
Yeah.
So that's the easiest thing you can do. So it's always my number one, like just build relationships with the kids in your life. Make sure they know that they can trust you and talk to you.
I love that because, for so many, when we hear about child abuse, we go, oh my gosh, that's such a big problem. And how do I, help with that? And there are so many aspects of it that we cannot control. And even with our own kids, that we just can't control because we can't follow them around 24 hours a day and we can't, right? And so the idea that, if we are building those trusting relationships, if we are a supportive, safe person that the children in our lives know that they can come and talk to us about, and that we believe in them, that we believe they're a good person, that we believe that they can do things, that we are doing our part, because we can't control certain things, but that is something that we definitely can control. So I love that. Thank you, Felicia. So
I like easy things. I feel like other things are so challenging. Like if I'm going to give you a lot of tricks to like identify a child that's being abused or ways of actually preventing a child from being abused, you get into so much, and it's almost impossible to be really successful at that. So I just feel like this is an easy way to be successful that anybody can do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what that does too is it takes away, there's so much when we're a parent and our child has been abused, not by us, but maybe by a family member or by a teacher or something like that. Gosh, there's so much guilt and shame that can come with that as a parent. And what you're saying is parents are not responsible for that. Like we can't stop our children from having these experiences 100%. Like there's no way to do that 100%. But if it does happen to them, we can make sure that they're going to come out of that in a more resilient way. We can make sure that they can have people that they can tell about it so that they can possibly prevent it from continuing to happen. So that's amazing. I love that. Yeah. And there's no downside to it, right? Like if you're building these relationships with these kiddos and they never go through a traumatic experience, which is unlikely that anybody, right, is never going to go through a traumatic experience like we all are. But, even if they never do, there's no downside to building resilience and positive, healthy relationships with kids.
Right.
So wonderful. I love that. So if you could give one suggestion to somebody on the fence about starting counseling for themselves or for their child, what advice would you give them?
I would definitely say give it time and find the right person. I have just seen so many people who are very resistant to counseling because they say tried a counselor before and it was just awful and didn't work. The way I try to say it is, do you click with every person you meet in life? And for the most part, everyone's answer is no. It's really hard to imagine that you could try your first therapist and it would just be this spectacular relationship and you guys just really vibe well and it's just a perfect fit. So, but that does happen, I'm sure. But I would say, like, just try someone. And if it's not a good fit, don't be afraid to try someone different, because counselors are not offended by that. And I tell that to every kid that I see. If you, for any reason at any point, feel like this isn't really working for you, we'll find someone that you click with better, because counseling can benefit everybody. But it is important to have a good working relationship with your counselor.
Yeah, I love that. That's such good advice. I mean, when I was, I think 16, my parents gave me for my 16th birthday this like little sparkly frog. I'll put a picture of it on the podcast video. It's this little sparkly frog, and it's got a little crown on it, and its mouth opens up on a hinge like this. It's right over there. I wish I could grab it. And it has a ring inside the mouth of it. And they said, we're giving this to you because you have to kiss a lot of frogs before you find your prince, right? And it was because I was first starting to date, right? And like get, dating drama, okay? And so then they're like, you know what? Like, this is okay. This is normal, right? That you're not going to like fall madly in love with the first person you start dating, right? And I think about that sometimes with counseling. Like sometimes you need to go through a few counselors, and sometimes you might start with a counselor who might be a perfect fit for you like 2 years from now, but maybe isn't right now where you're at. So I love that that advice to just like keep going. Like just because you try a disgusting bubblegum ice cream flavor does not mean the ice cream isn't good. It just means that you did not like that flavor. So
I love those comparisons. That is great. I'm going to use those in the future. Just so.
Yeah, bubblegum ice cream is so gross. I can't.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is. Like,
yeah, there's a perfect example as well. So you guys maybe wouldn't enjoy the same therapist.
That's right. Exactly right. Love that. Awesome. All right. So Felicia, thank you so much for being here. This has been so informative, and it's just always great to talk to you and to see you.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed this as well. I am Felicia Ledbetter, and I definitely need a counselor.
So do we, by the way. So awesome. Thank you for that. If you have a student in the Iowa Falls School District, and you would like to get them connected with counseling with Felicia, give us a call. You can call us at 800-531-4236. And Felicia is also she's doing in school, but she's also doing telehealth right now as well. And so that is an option. Sometimes scheduling can be really tricky. And even sometimes school scheduling can be tricky, or if kiddos don't want to necessarily be seen in the school, but they go to that school, right? And they want to get to know Felicia first. They can always do counseling by phone first, so they can kind of get to know her a little bit before they start meeting with her at school. So give us a call there, 800-531-4236.
And like Julie mentioned at the beginning, we post every Sunday night at 5 p.m. Central. So save up that laundry for the week, fold your laundry and put it away while you listen to us. Help us make it a little more exciting for you. And we'll help you call a counselor that week as well.
Yeah. So if you've got questions for us about counseling in general, or you have questions for Felicia about school counseling, or you've got questions about Child Abuse Prevention Month or anything, the Clothes Closet, let us know. You can send us a confidential message on Facebook Messenger at You Need a Counselor Podcast, or you can send us a message on Instagram at You Need a Counselor. So send us those messages. We'd love to have Felicia on again to do maybe an update on the Clothes Closet, get to hear about other community partners that they are working with. So yeah, if you send us a question on there, we'll either get it answered for you right away, or we will answer it on the next podcast episode.
So I'm Chrissa Brown.
And I'm Julie Johnson, and we need a counselor.
And so do you.
Bye.
Bye.